Good, good. Let's see if that hot streak continues with Lost in the Moonlight.
Okay. Now this is a much older film than we normally put into our intermission episodes, in the shape of 2016 Korean animation Lost in the Moonlight, which I first saw the trailer for 6 years ago and had been wanting to watch since, but thanks to a lack of an English subtitled version, I've had to wait until 2021 to see. This has been rectified in the last few months, it would seem, with one of my periodic checks having turned it up on Amazon. What had attracted me most was the style, reminiscent of Studio Ghibli. Now, it's possible that I compare Asian animation to Studio Ghibli too often, although it's hard and perhaps inappropriate not to.
Yeah.
They're the gold standard. Indeed, when it comes to traditional two-dimensional animation at all, they're the gold standard everywhere. And if you're interested, please listen to a review of Earwig and the Witch in our February 2021 episode if you'd like to learn about how they're very much not the gold standard for 3D animation. But in this case, the comparison was particularly appropriate, as Studio Hulhori's film bears more than a little resemblance to Spirited Away. Adolescent girl Hyo Jun Lee is about to perform in her school's musical, in which she plays a tree. Upset about her small part, fed up with being ignored by her classmates and the director, embarrassed about her parents coming to watch her and, well, being 13, Hyun Joo Lee decides to run away from the performance. At the same time, a rat who is part of the ancient and recently restored clock, the unveiling ceremony of which Hyun Joo Lee's musical is a part. Sorry, I'm really struggling to say that Korean name. I don't know how to do it. I second guess myself every moment. Is similarly fed up of his seemingly minor role and leaves the clock. Of course, in the human world, the rat is only a figure in a clock, but in the spirit world, he is actually a rat god who unwittingly carries a name tag that, if allowed to fall into the wrong hands, will cause time to stop and darkness to forever cover both the human and the spirit worlds. It falls into the wrong hands. The fleeing from embarrassment Hyun Joo Lee picks up the name tag and, due to its magic, ends up in the spirit world, full of strange demon creatures, including one masked figure with an extending neck, vengeful trees like evil ents, and gods. Here she also encounters Madame Blossom, possessor of those wrong hands, who is not suspected at all of being evil because, as the disguised rat god who has become the girl's companion states, no pretty people are bad. Sadly, Lost in the Moonlight turned out to be very much not worth waiting for. While it's reasonably well animated, even if the backgrounds have the look of a Ghibli first pass rather than the achingly beautiful and painstakingly drawn art of that studio's finished work, and some of the character designs are either interesting or creepy, where it really suffers is story and character. Setting aside the very on-the-nose but almost de rigueur messaging about pollution and the environment, as the plot progresses and the world approaches destruction, Hyun Joo Lee is given no agency whatsoever, being buffeted around events like a twig in a hurricane, and always rescued by external forces, never her own wit or action. It is, frankly, extremely boring and unsatisfying. It also fails in its messaging. When the Spirit Clock's creator addresses the issue of the rat god's dissatisfaction which led to his leaving the clock, our heroine informs him, it's because no one told him how important his role is. If someone did, even if it is a routine job, he would have done it gladly. So much so, you're an important part of things, even if you're unhappy with the size of your role, moral for children. But really, no, you're just dressed as a tree in the background. Your part is actually insignificant. This film is not saying what you think it is, especially since Hyun Joo Lee is a spectator for more or less the entirety of her adventure. In the end, what I really want to do is warn off anyone else who, like me, might stumble across a trailer for this at some point and think, okay, I'll bite. Let's see how this lot to do a Spirited Away knockoff. Don't. It's too dull. Instead, I'd recommend watching a little film called Spirited Away, which does a lot of the same stuff, but oh so much better.
Oh, that's a shame. I've not seen this, but I know you're looking forward to this quite a bit, and yeah, it's a crushing disappointment, I guess. Oh well.
Yeah, I was thinking it's sort of set up for being something like a Studio Ponnock film.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Mary and the Witch's Flower, so...
Solid B plus tier kind of deal, yeah.
Yeah, like Ghibli light, animation almost as good, maybe not as much depth in the story or something.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was simply to be bored, and it's only 81 minutes long, and I was struggling. Again, it's hard to call it bad. I don't think that's quite the fair word, and it's clearly had effort put into it. I just think they've concerned themselves more with the creation of the world and how it looks without putting any actual substance or story in it.
Yeah.
And when you've got, especially Ghibli in particular, their heroines are just amazing. They're resourceful, intelligent, thoughtful people. And the cartoonist, she has nothing to do. She's just a spectator.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this is definitely a case of disappointment more than anything else. And I had been waiting 5 or 6 years to watch this, and I got, oh, well, that's a bummer.
Yes. Oh, well.
So there is one more positive thing I can find, just because the name amused me. The rights arm of the distribution and production company that made this, NEW, is called Contents Panda. Which was a name which particularly tickled me. So if I ever return to Twitter, that may become my my screen name on Twitter, Contents Panda. I have no idea what it means, but it sounds funny. Right, if you've not seen that, Scott, then there's little point in staying with it.
Yes.